Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is highly requested, and that is how to use the WW Recipe Builder either on the eTools online or on your phone on the WW app. So I was going to take some time today and walk you guys through how to use the Recipe Builder. We're going to input a recipe that I found online that is not WW friendly, and we are going to make it WW friendly. So I'm going to walk you through step by step how to input all of your food into the Recipe Builder and how to determine the correct number of points for the recipe. So if you want to see how to use the WW Recipe Builder, stay tuned. So here's the recipe that we're going to put into our Recipe Builder. Now this is not a WW recipe, so I found this on Pinterest, and we are going to modify this to fit into WW by putting all of the components into our Recipe Builder. So these are cheese steak sloppy joes. So here's what's in there. We have our ground beef, which we'll need to put in our builder, our butter, and our cornstarch, as well as our cheese and our buns. Now the rest of the items are 0 points, so we do not have to put those into our builder unless you want to. I typically do not put 0 point foods into my Recipe Builder. So let me show you exactly how to determine the points for cheesesteak style sloppy joes. So to create our recipe, we are going to use either the app on the mobile phone or we're going to use the eTools online. And for this video, it being a bigger screen, I decided to just go ahead and use my computer. So in order to create a recipe, you'll need to go to your main page, which is the My Day page. Up at the top here, you'll see where it says My Food. Go ahead and click on My Food. You can see here, these are all recipes that I've created in the Recipe Builder for myself to determine the number of smart points. So we are gonna go over here to the little button that says Create, and we're not creating a food or a meal, we wanna create a recipe. So go ahead and click on the recipe, and this is what the screen looks like. It gives you the option to add step-by-step instructions. You can add prep time, cook time, the difficulty level, a description, and notes. But we are going to focus on creating the smart point value of the cheese steak sloppy joes. So in the recipe name, we wanna name our recipe. So I'm going to say cheese steak sloppy joe. Okay, so then that in the future we'll know that the cheesesteak sloppy joes, this is that recipe. The recipe here says that it serves 4. So in the serve section, we are going to say 4. Now, in order to add our ingredients, we are going to click here where it says add another ingredient. So go ahead and click there, and it is going to bring you to the screen here where you can search for the food items that you're looking for. Now, if you are someone that saves a lot of the food items you search under My Foods, you can click there and your searched items that you saved will appear under My Foods. Now, I do not do that very often, so I'm gonna have to search for each individual ingredient. So the first thing is the hamburger, and it calls for 1 pound of lean hamburger. So we're gonna go 96.4 because that's typically the hamburger that the majority of us use. And let's go down here to the Great Value Ground Beef Extra Lean 96.4. Everyone has a Walmart nearby, so it's best to go with a standard type of a hamburger. So the recipe serves 4, as you see here. Each serving is 4 ounces, but a pound of hamburger is 16 ounces. So we are going to put in 16 and we are going to put in update. So that has added a total of 8 points to our recipe. And then we are going to add the next ingredient. So it calls for salt and pepper, which we don't need to add to the recipe, but then it calls for 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. So I am going to type in light butter. And then you are going to select whatever light butter you have on hand. Now, I always use the Land O'Lakes because, or the I can't believe it's not butter. I apologize. The I can't believe it's not butter because it is the lowest points. So we are going to change this from 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons since that's what the recipe calls for. And then we are going to hit update. So that has added 3 additional points. So far, our recipe has 11 points total for 4 sandwiches. Continuing on to the next ingredient, it calls for an onion and a bell pepper, which are 0, garlic butter, Worcestershire sauce, and beef broth, which are all 0. So the next thing in the recipe is cornstarch. So it is only 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, but I'm going to add it into the builder because I know that cornstarch does have points. So you can see here, let's go with Bob's because that's a pretty common brand. And the recipe calls for 1 tablespoon. So 1 tablespoon, and we are going to update. So you can see that that is added an additional point to our recipe. Now our recipe is 12 smart points total. And then the recipe also calls for cheese. So go ahead and add in whatever cheese that you are going to serve on these. I'm going to serve Velveeta only because Velveeta slices only have 1 smart point. So does Jarlsberg. So if you want to go with Jarlsberg, if you're not a Velveeta fan, but I'm going to go with the Velveeta slices right there, original. And we obviously need to add 4 slices because each sandwich is going to have a slice, and there are 4 servings per recipe. So we are going to update. So that is going to add an additional 5 points onto our recipe. And the last thing in the recipe is some sort of a roll to serve our sloppy joe on. So I am going to add in the sandwich slim from Kroger because I would rather save the points and not use a hamburger bun that cost me 4 or 5 points when I can use a Kroger sandwich slim for 2. So now if you are going to use a regular hamburger bun or whatever you're going to use as your roll, make sure that you search and add that to the recipe because it will change the number of points. So we have 4 sandwich slims. Update that. Adds 10 points. So now we've added everything into our recipe. We have our meat, we have our butter, we have our cornstarch, we have our cheese, and we have our sandwich slims. And then I'm not going to add in any of the details because I actually have the paper recipe, but you can feel free to add any additional details that you see fit into your recipe. And then you are simply going to hit create recipe. And if you scroll up here, it says that each cheesesteak sloppy joe is 7 smart points. So it does all of the math for you based on the ingredients that you entered. Now I will give you a word of caution. So let's look at a couple things here. Technically, 1 slice of Velveeta cheese is 1 smart point. And you can see we added 4 slices and it's calculating it is 5. Because the recipe builder can't differentiate between individual servings, even though you did add 1 serving up here. So this should really be 4 technically. Same with the sandwich slims, should really be 8 technically. But even if you deducted 3 smart points off of the grand total of points, it's still going to make each sandwich 7 smart points. So you can see here that it serves 4, each serving is 7. Regardless if this information here is accurate or not by just a couple of points, you would literally have to take 4 points off for this to deduce the points down to 6. And of course, that is entirely up to you if you choose to do that. But I always go with whatever it says in the recipe builder because I don't want to underestimate the number of points. So if this is what I'm going to eat for dinner, I am going to change this to a dinner. And then this little fun button here that says track 7, if I click on that, it will track 7 points into my dinner for the day. So there you have it. So my cheesesteak sloppy joes has been added in and 7 points has been deducted for dinner. Now, to get back to this recipe in the future, you can go back up here to my food. And now you will see that the cheese steak sloppy joes is saved in my food, which now you can then add that to any additional dinner, lunch, whatever you're going to have one of these cheesesteak sloppy joes in the future for. So super easy to use. You just have to get comfortable with adding in the different components of each recipe. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware, but let's say I'm obviously not having this for dinner tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and just hover over it and I can edit or delete it. So I'm going to delete it from my day because I am not going to actually be having that for dinner. So there you have it. Easy peasy on how to use the WW Recipe Builder. I hope this video helped you learn the WW Recipe Builder and gave you a good idea of how to input your food to come up with an accurate number of smart points. So thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. give this video a thumbs up. Comment below, let me know if this video helped you with the recipe builder, and of course if you have any additional questions that I can help answer. And I will see all of you in my next video. Bye!